Alright everyone, I start off today elaborating on a video that I made yesterday. A few people messaged me and they thought I had become blackpilled about Trump's chances of winning. To be clear, I still predict that Donald Trump is going to win the presidency. Kamala has several months now to make mistakes, and she frequently does anytime she's in public. And so that led me to try to elaborate a little bit. There are 3 steps that I think that Donald Trump and his campaign need to take in order to annihilate her. If the election were held today, keep in mind that his polling is still better against her than it was against Hillary on Election Day, by a couple of points actually. So I think he has a systemic advantage. There are things that he should do because we don't want a squeaker. What we don't want is for him to not have any form of mandate when he's in the Oval Office because he wins by like 1 electoral point or something like that. We want at least a comfortable margin like you saw in 2016. Here are 3 things that he can do to further that. The first and most important thing that Trump needs to do is drag Kamala out into the public. It's been 17 days. She's not held a presser. She just minted her vice presidential candidate, but she's not really going out in public. There's a lack of rallies and a lack of enthusiasm at those rallies, by the way. There were like, I think, 500 people watching her speech the other day on YouTube, and it's like, all right, well, I could probably get more people watching me making a political speech, so it's not necessarily that impressive. In 2020, you had the meme about hiding Biden. Because he campaigned little, he held very small events, rarely got more than a couple hundred people at them, and many of them were hecklers, actually. You remember that one that he had at, like, the farmhouse? I think he was in Ohio or Iowa or something. And there were a bunch of pickup trucks outside honking repeatedly and coal rolling and stuff like that. She's trying to hide. The more people know about Kamala Harris, the more they will dislike her. It is obvious that this is the case. You don't have to be a conservative or a rock-ribbed Republican or something. I'm an independent voter myself and lean classically liberal to understand she's simply a dislikable person. She's also very awkward. The more that she's forced into the public square, therefore, the more support she'll lose. Now, important note, this doesn't translate to Trump votes. Some of these are people who simply dislike Trump. They're uninclined to vote for him, but they're inclined to vote for his opponent because they know nothing about her. You need to inform those voters about what her platform is, and Tim Walz's platform as well, because that's even more zany. And constantly attempt to get her. Not only should Trump debate her in September on ABC, I think it's a mistake if he doesn't. He should also demand a second debate. As I explained the other day, he agreed to 2 debates with Biden, for example. Well, the first, Biden's not running, so that debate doesn't count. Force her into 2 debates. Make one solely about foreign policy, by the way. That's typical. Usually you had 3 presidential debates. You would have a general domestic issue debate, and general issues. You'd have the foreign policy debate, and then you'd have a town hall. Now we're down to 2 debates, and they're both just general issue. He should challenge her to either a town hall or a specifically foreign policy debate, and then have the general debate with her, so it'd be like the one that he had with Joe Biden. So bring her out into the public. The more people, force her to flesh out an actual campaign platform. Her site doesn't even list any actual issues at all. There are none. There are no policy positions, therefore, for Trump to attack. You need to get her on record. You need to have something to actually attack. This is actually an inverse of the memetics of 2016, by the way. The right wing was an uncongealed mass of chaos at the time, whirlwinding around. Well, it's impossible to attack that. It's sort of like, was it Jackie Chan or one of these others said, be like water. I can't remember exactly which martial artist, and I'm sure that people are going to crucify me for that in the comments. My apologies. Be like water. Force your opponent to solidify. You have something to attack them. That's number 1. The second part of the strategy, tie her to the Biden administration. Remind people, look, she was the vice president all of this time. She was an absentee. Biden was destroying the economy, starting fucking wars, and doing all this crazy shit. She was the border czar. That's important. That was one of her main policy projects when she was VP. Now she's candidate Kamala, I suppose. She's still acting VP, but she never really did her job anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Tie her to the Biden administration and make that clear to the American public. You need to be very concise and very clear. Kamala was VP when this happened. Kamala was VP when that happened. She's been a heartbeat away from the presidency. Plus, Joe Biden chose not to run because of health issues. I mean, that's the excuse that they're effectively going with. It's not 100% clear. They've been kind of vacuous. She knew. She met with him repeatedly, and she knew, and she didn't do anything. She didn't take over the work. She didn't say anything to the public. She lied about Joe Biden's cognitive ability this entire time. Tie her to the Biden administration inexplicably, and that would be another way to prevail. Number 3, and this is mainly pertinent to the debates, but also if you can drag her in as a public spectacle in general, you can probably accomplish this. Assuming you can get her to answer questions from the press that already fawns over her, says she's injecting energy, and all this other astroturf bullshit, and it is bullshit, by the way. Get her to cackle. Make her uncomfortable by bringing up terrible things, dead children and stuff like that. Is this palatable and ethical? Maybe not, but it's worth it for our republic. Bring up drone strikes or war or something that's generally unpleasant that the average person would not find funny. They would find it to be sad. They'd say, oh, 100 kids died in this orphanage in fire because a drone struck the propane tank. Well, that's fucking terrible. That's the average person's response. May not be visceral, but they find it regrettable. They don't find it funny. Kamala finds it fucking hilarious, apparently. And she does that uncomfortable cackling laugh, like with her wokeness shtick the other day, which I'm still shaking my head at and don't understand how she could possibly break down into such fucking laughter over the subject. There's nothing even funny there. It's not anything regrettable. It's just a political ideology, DEI basically, wokeness and equity. But why is it funny? It doesn't really, I'm not 100% sure. Even in her case, it's not entirely clear. Kamala tends to cackle uncontrollably. She's called cackles for a reason when something terrible is brought up. Well, he can just flash a picture of dead children in Yemen or something like that. She'll start laughing and get all hyperbolic about it. Those are the 3 things I think Donald Trump needs to do. And here's why I'm not black-pilled. He is strategically minded. And he also takes advice from people with influence who his staff happen to watch. And I know that at least one staffer must watch me because his official presidential account at Real Donald Trump on Twitter at one point literally shared out one of my videos. To the staffer that watches this video, I hope, please refer him to this. Give me 10 minutes of Donald Trump's time to advise him. If he does these things, he cannot lose. Kamala Harris is uniquely unlikable due to her literal psychopathy. She comes off as bizarre to people, especially when she's reacting to terrible things. But people don't know enough about her to make that judgment. They don't know what her platform is because she's not trying to formulate a platform. Make it for her. Force her to formulate her platform and force her in the right direction, of course, so that she is given enough rope to strangle herself, so to speak. I mean that metaphorically, of course. Tired of the Biden admin. The Biden administration is extremely unlovable. Nobody likes it. Even most liberals don't really support his economic and border views. So tie her to the administration. Hog tie her to Biden. Make it clear this is basically just a slightly younger female version of Joe Biden. She has the same ideological principles. And if she has to elaborate on them, then again, you are giving her, latitude to mess up. And she will because she's Kamala Harris. You can't help but win. Trump can cream her in a debate. You should be demanding 3 goddamn debates with her. Well, I mean, in the old days, we had 3 of them. We had the general debate, the foreign policy debate, and then we had the town hall. Trump will destroy her. It'll be easy for him. He's much more well-spoken than Kamala Harris. Christ on a stick. It shouldn't be hard for him at all. Look at what he did against Joe Biden. Admittedly, Joe Biden not necessarily amped up and in prime form at the time. So I'm hoping that some staffer listens to this reason, gets this to Trump, and says, look, Sticks has some good ideas. He may be weird. Yeah, he's no Adonis, but, he's speaking truth here. Truth to truth, strength to truth, or whatever the fucking leftoid moniker is for that basic premise. Truth to power, I think it is. Something like that. They like sloganeering. You can sloganeer all you want, but you need to challenge Kamala to debates, tie her to the Biden admin, and make her cackle at some point. And if you can just accomplish that, you're going to absolutely fucking destroy her. That's about all. Peace out.